Thousands of students in South Africa may be forced to drop out from one of the country's top universities. They can't pay their fees. Now, ordinary people have had to come forward to try and bail them out, but even that may not be enough. CCTV's Julie Shire has more.
Higher education does not come cheap, and in Africa it can be out of reach for many aspiring students. At Wits University, more than 2,000 students have not been able to register due to lack of funding from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme.
It's extremely unfair to those students who can't afford it, because basically it's not their ability at academic ability which is deciding their fate, and it's something which many of them can't really help because of the fact that they're financially struggling.
Wits Student Representative Council launched a fundraising campaign to help pay for tuition fees for cash-strapped students, which surpassed expectations, but it still won't be enough, raising concerns that South African higher education is in great need of first aid.
It's a sad day for us because up to now we've been raising money, the momentum's been very high, and now we're coming down to the allocation of the funds we've raised. And that's a difficult process because R1 million can only help about 107 students. This is a response, and an urgent response by students, for students, but it's in no way a solution. This is a structural issue that we have in South Africa. The underfunding of higher education in this country is a crisis.
I think we absolutely have an education crisis. That higher education in this country is underfunded every year to the equivalent of 14 or 15 billion. We get a subsidy of 22. They said if we were going to get the global average, not the OECD average, not the Korean average, the global average which includes Africa, we should be getting 37 billion. Now you understand why we have the challenges of that.
Academic life for these students now stands at jeopardy.
I don't have money to go anywhere else now, so I'd have to drop out and not go to school. And it sucks because it's not like it's my first year, it's like my second year, and I have third year subjects, so I'm close to finishing.
If I don't get funding, I believe my future is over. I don't know what I will do after that.
Despite all efforts to try and raise money for over 2,000 students here at Wits University, only 100 will be able to continue their studies, leaving several other candidates with no other option but to drop out, dashing their dreams and hopes of one day obtaining a degree. Julie Shire, CCTV, Johannesburg.
All right, now let's discuss this a little further, and we cross to Johannesburg to speak to Shaeera Kalla, the Deputy President of the Wits Student Representative Council. Thanks for your time this evening. Shaeera, just how serious is the problem of unaffordable university education?
Well, it's a crisis, like we've been saying, and it's not just a crisis at Wits. It seems to be a national crisis. You'll find at the university, the Tshwane University of Technology, students have started riots and violent riots because they have 40% of their student population that depend on NSFAS funding. At Wits, we have 10% of students who depend on NSFAS funding, and even then we can't help that small amount of students, so there are more than 2,000 of them that qualify financially and academically, but there are insufficient funds to actually help them.
Now, help us understand this a little bit. While some students are possibly eligible for financial aid, they also need to pay a registration fee, which is separate to that. Is that the case, and what is the solution?
So the reason why we started the 1 million 1 month campaign is because there is a 9,340 Rand registration fee that these students need to pay in order to register. Once you're registered, you only need to pay your fees by January or by the end of the year. So this upfront payment fee is really a barrier to entry for students. And these students are students who come from working class backgrounds. Some of them have parents who are unemployed, and if their parents are employed, they might be working as domestic workers, for example, and they earn less than 2,000 Rand or at least 2,500 Rand a month, which is, really short to register. They won't have that kind of money on hand to just pay up front. And that's why this campaign started, because it's to get these students into the system. Once they're in the system, funding does usually become available at some point, And even if it doesn't, you see cases of students who are able to self-fund, but it's just the upfront payment fee that really stops them from entering the system. And if they don't register by the end of the month, there's no point for them to even, there's no chance for them to even be students at Wits University. So the urgency of this campaign, and the reason why it was called 1 million 1 month, is because we looked at a realistic target for students to actually start raising funds for the NSFAS students, for students who are less fortunate, in order to assist them in registering. So we're not covering tuition fees, we're not covering residence fees, we're simply trying to get them into the system.
Just how far do you think that this fundraising could possibly assist in terms of that registration process? Would you have an idea of how many students you're looking at?
So today we've already started allocating funds, and we're helping about 100 students, 110 students to register. This may seem like a small number, but these are 100 lives that are going to be changed. 100 students who are actually going to further their studies. These are not just students who it's their first year at university. We are helping some first year students, but the bulk of the students that will be assisted are returning students to Wits University. So they're in their second or third year of study. And if they don't register, it means that they have to really defer their dreams.
All right, Shaeera Kalla, thanks very much for your time this evening. We're speaking to Shaeera Kalla, the Deputy President of the Wits Student Representative Council.